wanted to provide something for you this week and thought we'd try something a little bit new. So they're not going to be able to join me today, and sorry if you can't really see me, it's a little bit early. But as I head in, hopefully the sun will rise and maybe you'll get a little more visualization. But uh, with everything that went on this week and trying to line up our schedules, it really got me thinking about, you know, the power of perspective. And so often we can get so hung up on issues and problems and challenges that occur in our life. And here's the reality of it: you have to know about those things. You absolutely have to. You have to acknowledge them. You have to address them. You can't go through life being successful ignoring those issues and challenges and problems when they come up. But once they're identified, that no longer should be what you're hyper focused on, right? Our narratives all the time, unfortunately, continue to focus and dwell on the problem. The problem is what the problem is. Yes, occasionally things change with that issue, problem, or challenge, and you need to stay aware of that. But most of the time, the problem is the problem. So once you understand that it's there, dwelling on it is not going to help you get through that challenge, problem, obstacle, issue, whatever it might be. Instead, you need to start focusing on the solutions. Start looking for what can remove that problem, can get you past that issue, right? And I know a lot of times we may look at these and go, wow, that just seems insurmountable. It's too large of an issue. Or maybe it's one that we can talk ourselves out of, even if it's not a large of an issue, right? So give you the perfect example in my case this week, we had challenges and issues and we were left with an option, right? We could have focused on that. We could have easily talked ourselves out of trying to produce anything for this morning, and we could have simply said, you know what, 1 week will be fine. Or maybe we can record a couple episodes another week and push them out. There's lots of ways we could have let ourselves off this week. But instead, we decided, okay, let's look at our potential solutions rather than focus on the problem over and over again of our calendar challenges. Those existed. There was nothing we could really do about that. At least nothing by focusing on the problem. And so by focusing on the solution, we came up with this, right? The live on my drive, the shoot on my commute. I know that's cheesy, but it was funny when I thought of it to me, so I wanted to get it in there again. But yeah, so when you think about focusing on the solutions rather than the problems, there's so many options that you have to explore potentially, right? There's lots of different ways to react to the events that happen in our lives. And that ultimately is our response is ultimately what influences those outcomes to be positive, negative, or neutral sometimes. Um, you know, as you sometimes it can seem easier said than done, though, of course, right? Focusing on our solutions, especially when the problems do seem so insurmountable. But I'm going to encourage you to think of it from the lens of, I guess, for lack of a better term, I'm going to say a growth mindset. And what I mean by that is there are just simple adaptations to what you're likely already telling yourself that can completely shift your mindset and reprogram your subconscious to be issue focused rather than, or I'm sorry, solution focused rather than issue focused. So let me give you an example. If you're sitting there and you're wondering, can we do this? I want to encourage you to add a simple word to the front of that. How? Instead of asking yourself, can we do this? I want you to start asking yourself, how can we do this? Now you've taken it from potential to something you're going to do, right? Can we implies that maybe you can't. How can we get you focused on the solution to the question at hand or the challenge that you're facing. So that's one way that you can start to rethink through these things, right? Another one is, I can't do that. I know probably everyone has thought this at a time in their life. I want to encourage you again to look at the power of a single word. This time we're going to use yet. We're going to put this on the end. I can't do that yet, right? Again, you're opening up the possibilities. You're barely changing the way you're speaking to yourself, but you're massively changing the narrative. I can't do that implies that you're limited in some way, that it's not possible for you to be able to get to that point. But I can't do that yet keeps that hope open, keeps that door open, keeps your potential open. I can't do that yet, but how can I get there, right? Not, I can't do that, can I get there? No, absolutely not. It's, I can't do that yet, but how can I get there? We just added simple words to phrases that we're likely already telling ourselves, right? And I just think that that is so important to factor in when you're considering your perspective on the challenges that may lie before you. You know, we are big on sharing these like high performance hacks and giving you tools and tips and tricks to really excel in today's business world or in your personal life. And that can make such a huge difference because you're not locking yourself into a defined or predefined path for yourself. You are keeping the door open to all of your options. And I'll tell you what that does is it empowers you to actually be able to chart your own course, right? When we lock ourselves into a box, whether it's self-imposed or imposed upon us by things in our life, and we stay locked in that box, right? Because sometimes we might find ourselves locked away by something that's imposed on us. But again, once we understand that that's the event, we need to focus on our response and the solution so that we can get out of it. But when we stay locked in that box, again, whether we got put there or we put ourselves there, we have now closed ourselves off from opportunity, and we are going where life tells us to go rather than us shaping our own lives and deciding which paths we want to take. What is the narrative that we want to create? Remember, you are the author of your own story. And so you are writing that in your head. Maybe you're not writing it down on paper. Maybe you're not constantly reviewing it and editing it and thinking about it. But at the end of the day, every action you make, every choice that you take, all of these things are adding to the narrative and the story of your life. When people look back at your life, the choices that you are making and the actions that you are taking, those are going to be the summation of what they think. So, I guess the question I would have for you then is, what do you want your legacy to be? How do you want people to remember your story? Right? So if you were to take a step back and really look at the story that you are writing, are you happy with the course and trajectory it's on? I hope so. But if not, that's okay. Any book ever has started with a trough, led up to a climax and an epic moment, and then the resolution. Maybe this is your epic moment. Maybe you're sitting here and you're thinking, wow, I'm not happy with my story. Well, now's the time to start taking action and start figuring out exactly which steps to take so that you can be happy with the story that you are leaving behind. Well, guys, without Colby and Shan, this is going to be a shorter episode for sure. Wanted to get those thoughts out about perspective, though, and I'd love to hear what you all think. So please comment down below. Tell me what you think about this format. I could see some short form type of things like this coming. If you like the quick hits rather than the hour-long episode, let us know. And also share with your friends so they can let us know. But I'm going to go. I'm going to focus on my driving. I have been this entire time, which is why I haven't been making eye contact. Always be safe in whatever you do. But until next time, have a great week, and I'll see you next week on Mastermind for the Masses. Thanks, everyone.